To understand this, we have to understand predictive programming. Alan Watts states, things or ideas which would be otherwise seen as bizarre, vulgar, undesirable, or impossible are inserted into films in the realm of fantasy, where when the viewer watches these films, his or her mind is left open to suggestion, and thus the conditioning process begins, through subverting the conscious mind and entering into the realm of subconscious, through entertainment, or entertrainment, as I like to say. These same movies, which are designed to program the average person, can give the discerning viewer a better understanding of the workings and the plan of the world agenda, if one becomes conscious to the patterns, the numbers, the symbols, and the iconography being used through this media manipulation. You can catch on to it, you can start to see the clues, and you can follow the trail, and you can call out these things that are happening, especially these false flag events. You can call them out as they come, which are being dismantled by the day now, which once took us years and decades to be able to unravel, are now taking a mere matter of hours in order to call out the bullshit of the programming used in these events, such as the Boston Marathon, such as Sandy Hook, such as the 9/11 attacks, which were foreshadowed in Hollywood media decades before the actual events took place. In cartoons like The Simpsons, Family Guy, which has predicted Bruce Jenner transformation, it's predicted the 9/11, it's predicted the Boston bombings, it's predicted the suicide of Robin Williams, it's predicted the death of Joan Rivers, it's predicted all of these things in Family Guy. So somehow Seth MacFarlane must be very privy to what is going on with these events. Don't ask me how, because I'm not sure how, but I know he has direct knowledge of these events. And he even states that he miraculously missed the plane which flew into the towers. He miraculously missed the flight that was supposed to be in the events of 9/11.
There you were. You were booked on the flight, I think, from Boston that hit the South Tower. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get on it. Why?
A combination of two things. I was giving a lecture at my college the night before and went out with some of the faculty afterwards and had a few pints. And
you got drunk?
Yes. And coupled with the fact that my travel agent had listed the flight on my itinerary as leaving 10 minutes later than it did. And I was generally late for flights. I'd missed a lot of flights prior to that, so it wasn't like it was anything crazily out of the ordinary. But I got to the counter and I said, yeah, I'm booked on flight 11, and the one behind the counter said, sorry, you're too late, they just closed the gate. And I said, all right, well, I'll take the 11 o'clock. Went into the lounge, fell asleep, woke up about 45 minutes later to a commotion, and the first plane had hit, and sat there and watched the second plane hit, and they announced what flight it was, and I turned to the guy next to me and said, my God, that was the flight I was supposed to be on. I was late. I missed it.
What an incredible thing to realize has just happened to the plane you should have been on.
Yeah. I mean, there was that wonderful unity that we've since completely abandoned. I've never felt more than when I was standing at the bar at 9 o'clock in the morning and saying to the bartender, hey, can you pour me a shot? And he's like, yeah, here you go, it's on the house. And that feeling that must have been what our grandparents felt during World War II, where this is, in that moment, everything was, we're all the same. But I'm not a fatalist. I was not shaken to the core in the way that I changed my whole outlook on life, mainly because I had missed planes before, and coincidences do happen. I mean, a day before that incident, I could have been crossing the street 5 minutes earlier and gotten hit by a car and never known that I just missed it.
Predictive programming works by means of propagation of the illusion of an infallibly accurate vision of how the world is going to look in the future. Through the circulation of science fiction literature, the masses are provided with semiotic or symbolic intimations of coming events. Within such literary works are narrative paradigms that are politically and socially convenient to sociopaths. This brings us to the Mothman prophecies, which were said to foresee or foreshadow certain catastrophic events in the near future that would take place involving critical pieces of architecture, which is similar and exactly mirroring the foreshadowing of the events of 9/11 in such Hollywood media that implied people would be sacrificed in an architectural catastrophe long before these events unfolded. The sphenoid is called the keystone of the cranial floor because it locks everything into place. It resembles the head of a key as well as the 11th letter, K, which Aleister Crowley added to create the spelling of the word magic with the K on the end, because the 11th letter is in the direct middle of the Hebrew alphabet, which consists of 22 letters. The letter K again represents a key, the key aspect of the Roman letter Chi-Rho, or the labarum, the Chi-Rho, or Chiron, or Charon, which is where the pharmaceutical prescription symbol comes from the Chi-Rho. Chiron is known as the wounded healer because he deals with healing over traumatic aspects of our psyche. Chi-Rho means hand, which is why the Romans used the Chi-Rho symbol, which we can associate with the hand of power. Which is exactly why we find the hand in the HBO series Game of Thrones. The hidden hand. The hand that feeds. Bats are mammals of the order of Chiroptera, whose forelimbs or hands formed webbed wings, making them the only mammals capable of true sustained flight. El is the Hebrew name of God, so God is found in the mid-El, symbolically in the human skull, which is where we find the sphenoid bone, which connects to the temp-El region of the brain, the temp of El, and the temporal lobe, which measures our sense of time, or tempo. I should explain here that El is also the Greek god known as Kronos, who became the Roman god Saturn, who is known as Father Time, which is where we get chronology, or the measure of time, or the tempo. The 11th Hebrew letter is K, or Kaf, meaning the palm of the hand, implying productivity and potentiality, but it also means coerce. Kaf is also the 22nd letter of the Arabic alphabet. I should mention here that there are 22 paths in the Hebrew Kabbalistic tree of life. Kabbalistic Kabbal, which is a small, organized group, a secret society, if you will. A Kabbal. Kabbalah, which was, I noticed it's the very origin of the inverted pentagram. Kaf can be phonetically linked or pronounced as calf, which reminds us of the biblical golden calf. Kaf is etymologically linked with Keter, Keter, or the crown chakra. And crown comes from Keren, or Karen, meaning horn, which is why Jesus wore a crown of thorns and has horns on his head in the Shroud of Turin. Turin, with the root of Taurus, Torino, the Taurus bull, who has horns on his head, a crown of horns on his crown. Because El, the Hebrew god of the Bible, had horns of a wild ox, and was always depicted as a bull, the bull god. El, Cronus, or Saturn, was the most high of the Bible, and thus wore the crown, which comes from the word crone, or Cronus, who was the old crone. The crown, or Karen, comes from Cronus, and corona, which comes from the sun. A corona is a halo, a crown. The etymology of crown comes from Latin corona, a gaseous envelope of the sun and other stars. Hence, a crown symbolizing the rays of the sun. Corona and crown come from Greek koroné, meaning anything curved, a kind of crown, which comes from the curve of the golden rings of Saturn. Saturn, who was known as Lord of the Rings, and is also known as the Greek god Kronos, or Father Time, who gives us the word chronology, crown, coronation, corona, crone, which is exactly why all who wear crowns are literally cronies. Kronos, who in ancient times was known as the best sun during the golden age of Kronos, who was the king of the age because he emitted a glorious halo. Halo comes from Greek halos, meaning disk of the sun or moon, ring of light around the sun or moon, or in other words, the golden rings, which rivaled or tempted our modern sun, today known as our Son of God, the temptation of Jesus, the Son of God. And this is exactly why to this day we still pay homage to this best son by wearing golden wedding rings as well as earrings. In the ancient Canaan Phoenician city of Byblos, also known as El Jabal, Saturn or Kronos was the king of Byblos, or the founder of Byblos. Kronos was known as the god El, the Most High, and was described as twin pillars, or twin towers. The number 11, because the two L's are even. They are parallel to one another. They are parallel. They are literally a pair of L's.